Greetings and welcome to the Culinary Arts course. So today we will be understanding on Unit 2, that is kitchen equipments. So before we start with Unit 2, let's do a small recap and what we understood in Unit 1. So Unit 1 was about professional kitchen and personal hygiene. So we started with what are the personal hygienes that has to be followed by the food handlers, as well as what are the kitchen hygienes that has to be maintained while working inside the kitchen. Lastly, we covered up with a topic called HACCP, that is HACCP, which means Hazard Analysis Critical Control Point, and there were 7 points that has to be followed, which we understood in the Unit 1. So now we'll step into Unit 2, that is kitchen equipments. Here we'll be understanding about the correct usage of kitchen equipments and its maintenance. So what are the learning objectives and the learning outcomes from this Unit 2? So here we'll be understanding about classification of equipments. So the equipments is basically classified based on its sizes and based on its usage. So we'll be learning about the classifications of equipments. We'll also be learning about the factors when you're selecting certain equipments, and also what are the care and how to care about the equipments and how to maintain it well for its longer durability. So this is what we'll be understanding today, and this is a learning objective. Apart from this, we'll also be learning about what is the outcome, what is the learning outcome from this kitchen equipments. Here, we'll understand the equipments, that is the safety of the equipments, and also what are the protocols that has been followed in the hotel. So first one, we'll start about the classifications of kitchen equipments. So to our knowledge, kitchen equipments is being classified into three categories. So first one, we'll start with the small kitchen equipments. Then we'll start with the large kitchen equipments, and then you have a mechanical equipments. So what is the small kitchen equipments? As you see in household or as you see in your own kitchen, we'll be having small equipments such as spatula, small ladles, we'll be having knives, we'll also be having some whisk or let's say a rolling pin. So these come under a category of small equipments where a one person can handle it effectively. Next one is a large equipments. So large equipments are such where, for example, you have the grinder machine, that is you have the dough mixer machine, you have the batter machine, that is a stone grinder machine, you have the oven, microwave. So these are the examples of large equipments. Then what are the mechanical equipments? These are the equipments where it requires a mode of electricity for its usage, which means it requires the electric current for its operation. Okay, for example, we have the peeler, we have the dough sheeter, we have the dough mixer, we also have the dishwashers. So these are the equipments that has been connected to the mechanical, that is, it's been connected to the electricity. So these are the classifications of equipments. Like for example, you can see in the PPT that has been projected here, the small equipments and utensils, the examples are pots. What are pots? Pots is something where we use certain pans for boiling or for making stews or for making some curries. So these are the pots. Now the pots here can be either a steel, it can also be aluminium, it can also be earthenware pots, it can also be ceramic pots. So the quality and the material of this pot can also vary. Next one we have is a pans. These can be either frying pan, sauteing pan. So pans that where you can actually use a deep fat frying method or a shallow frying method. So pans, like for example, you'd all made a dosa batter or you all have made an omelette. So use a pan where it is not too in depth or it is not too enlarged. So these are called as pans. Next one we have is a bowls. So bowls here can be either made with plastics or it can also be made with steels. So the bowls actually used for mixing, for kneading, for mixing of batter or dough, or even of collecting of all the ingredients in one small container is where you use a usage of bowls. So these are the examples of small equipments. When we come to the large equipments, We have refrigerator. So these are the equipments where two or more persons are required for its usage or to carry it. So these equipments has to be maintained properly so that it can actually prolong its usage as well. So these are the classifications of equipments. Now let's understand how to keep a kitchen clean. The kitchen has to be tidy. This is what we understood in Unit 1, that is kitchen hygiene as well. So here keeping a kitchen clean is very important, which includes we have to keep a kitchen floor to the worktops. Now what are worktops? Worktops is a slab that we work into. Like for example, in kitchen, you'd have seen a granite stand or a marble top or even a stainless steel tops. So these are the worktops where actually the chef starts preparing their food, okay, or preparing a pre-preparation of the meal. So these are the worktops which has to be kept neat and tidy. Before and after use, it has to be sanitized in order to remove the growth of the bacteria. Next one is a chopping board. Chopping board is one such object or one such equipment that has to be cleaned and washed thoroughly with soap detergents or hot boiling water so that there is no kind of a debris or no kind of a dirt or to eliminate the growth of bacteria. We are supposed to wash this chopping board. As in the kitchen, the chopping board is classified into white, brown, yellow, green and blue. So there are different classifications and a different usage of these chopping boards accordingly. Worktops. Here the worktops can be either it has to be well clean, it has to be kept clean, and also they, in case there's any food spillage or in case there's any sauce or any liquid that has been fallen or dripped in the worktop, it has to be cleaned immediately, and you're not supposed to work on the same spillage or the same sauce that has been spilled over the worktop because these can lead to a cross contamination. So in case if you're in a kitchen and if you can see something has been spilled on your worktop, please ensure that it has been wiped properly, it has been washed, it has been cleaned properly before you start with any other preparations. Now, always wash worktops before you start presenting or preparing your meal. Wipe out any spilled food straight away. Always wash the worktops thoroughly that has been touched by raw food. Now, let's say you're working with the poultry or meat or any kind of a meat or fish items that you're working in the worktop. So once you finish working with any kind of a raw meat, it is advised to wash it, sanitize it properly, and then start with the other preparations. As I mentioned you earlier, these meat are tend to attract the growth of bacteria. So in order to prevent it, it is always better to finish one process and then carry on with the next preparations. Next one, the dishwashers. Whenever you're using a dishwasher, it is always good to put the equipments. When I say equipments, dishwasher can always take small equipments inside the dishwasher because it can has a capacity to kill the bacteria. How does a dishwasher has a capacity to kill the bacteria? It is because these dishwashers put a hot boiling water. So it can increase the temperature, it can remove the dirt and also can kill the germs and bacteria that is present in these equipments. So these are the kitchen, keeping your kitchen clean. Next one is how to keep the kitchen clean. Now we all know we kind of keep the kitchen clean with the help of the clothes, right? So we take a cloth, we wipe the kitchen top, we wipe the equipments and for the further usage. So imagine if the cloth itself is dirty, then how can we clean the equipment and how can we ensure that it has been sanitized or it has been free from germs and bacteria? So here the clothes are very important. The clothes that we choose for cleaning. Never use any kind of a dirty clothes for cleaning because the dirty clothes is dampened and also it can increase the growth of bacteria. So no matter how many times you ever try to clean the worktop, even if the clothes is dirty, it can again increase the bacteria content and it can also become more dirty as well when you're working with raw meat or with the vegetables. Use a clothes that absorbs water very quickly, not the one that actually doesn't absorb the water. So the clothes that absorbs the waters are such as cotton clothes or even you have a paper towel or a kitchen towel which has a tendency to absorb water as quickly as possible. So dirty or damp clothes are the perfect place for the growth of the bacteria to breed in it. So always use a very clean cloth. It's not necessary that every time you enter the kitchen you're supposed to buy a new cloth. Use a used cloth, but before entering the kitchen ensure that it has been washed priorly in a hot boiling water. It has to be kept very dry, and only then it has to be used. Ensure that it has been washed in hot boiling water with some kind of a sanitizer or detergents thoroughly, and then keep it dry, and then you can bring it to the kitchen. If you want to choose the safest option, you can always use a disposable kitchen towel. So these are the kitchen towel which can be used only once. After one usage, it has to be thrown. So these are the safest option, and it is majority used in any kind of a kitchen areas as well. Tea towels are also an option, but tea towels also increase the spread of bacteria. So it is important to wash them regularly, because uh, so that it can eliminate the growth of bacteria in these clothes. Hence, I repeat again, if you want to wash the clothes properly, wash it with a hot boiling water, add some detergents, wash it thoroughly, allow it to dry, and then you can carry it the next day inside the kitchen. So these are the materials how to maintain the kitchens and how to keep your kitchen worktop very clean. Next one is a knife, spoons and utensils. As we observe today, majority of them, once we use a knife, we do not wash it. Like for example, let's say I'm using a raw knife for the raw meat. Raw meat in the sense I'm using a knife to cut a chicken, fish. I do not wash the knife, and then simultaneously I start chopping the vegetables. So this leads to a cross contamination. In order to avoid it, it is always advisable to wash the knives in a hot boiling water for at least 2 to 3 minutes, and then dip it in a dip it in a sanitizer. So when I mean the sanitizer, it is not the hand sanitizer that we use. In kitchen, there are different chemicals that is used for different usage. So there are certain chemicals which uses as a sanitizer for equipments. So you have to dip it in the sanitizer liquid and then remove it, wipe it dry, change the chopping board, because even chopping board has a different categories. So change the chopping board and then use for the other ingredients. So this can lead to this can actually avoid for the cross contamination of the food. Now, so the dishwasher also has to be cleaned and washed properly. It is just that we add a little bit of soap liquid inside the dishwasher without any equipments, and we allow it to run so that the dishwasher gets cleaned itself by before putting any other equipments, so that it can also remove all the debris and it can also kill the bacteria. Because how does it kill bacteria? Dishwasher has a tendency to of spreading a hot boiling water which will clean the equipments. So these are the classifications of equipments in the kitchen. And the conclusion of this is, first thing, we understood about what are the classifications of equipments, which includes about large equipments, small equipments, and also mechanical equipments. The last one is, first we finish with the clothes, we finish with the knife, next one is the hands. So this includes in the personal hygiene, keeping your hand clean and keeping your washing your hand regularly can eliminate the growth of bacteria in it. So it's very easy for our hands to spread bacteria because we handle with different kinds of food materials, we touch different object knowingly or unknowingly. So when we touch the food preparations, there might be a high chance that the bacteria can be spreaded. So it is always ensuring that we have to wash our hands regularly, and before touching any kind of an equipments or before touching any kind of a raw materials, wash your hands thoroughly with a liquid soap liquid, pat it dry, and then you can touch the other equipments. So before you start preparing of the food, you have to wash your hands. After touching any of the raw food and before touching any of the ready to eat food, it is always advisable to wash the hands thoroughly. Before and after going to the toilet, washrooms, it is always necessary to wash your hands regularly and only then enter the kitchen. And after touching the dustbins or after washing the sink area, it is always advisable to wash your hands regularly. And after touching any pets, so we might have pets in our house. So after touching these pets, it's always advisable to wash your hands properly before touching the food. So dry your hands thoroughly, because the wet hands, when the water is dripping again, it can also lead to a kitchen hygiene as well. So wash it properly. pat it dry, and only then handle the other ingredients. You can also wear aprons, and in the aprons we can also keep a clean kitchen towel so that you can always wipe your hands dry and then use it. So these are the classifications and about how to handle the kitchen equipments. So conclusion, we started first one with identifications of kitchen equipments, classifications of kitchen equipments. So I'll repeat again, the kitchen equipments is classified into small, large and mechanical equipments. How can we maintain these? So first of all, we have to always keep hot boiling water ready so that these equipments can be dipped and then wiped, washed properly, and then it has to be sanitized before and after use. The clothes that we select for wiping has to be water absorbent so that it can absorb the water quickly and leave it dry. Sanitize the large equipments before and after use so that you can eliminate the growth and the breed of the bacteria in it. Keeping your hands clean is always as important. Washing your hands regularly before and after entering the kitchen is always important so that you do not spread the growth of bacteria and also you do not contaminate the food content. Since we are all a food handlers, it is always important for us to maintain the personal hygienes, kitchen hygienes, and also understand the equipments that are present inside the kitchen. Thank you. So have a nice day.